So hello everyone, my name's Dorian Payne, and similar stories there really to Jack and also Stuart too. I've always been entrepreneurial. I'm obviously from South Wales, and I was buying and selling things through school. I was fortunate. Both of my parents were accidental landlords and grew a portfolio with no business plan, and so I got exposed to property, not property development, but property in general at quite a young age. So and what young person or young boy, girl, whatever, doesn't like looking at properties? It's great, and for me, that passion developed so early on that I always knew, even in school, that I was going to be in property. So that's probably where that started from. But yeah, I was buying and selling things through school. I was going to, as I was growing up, I was going to boot sales, selling online. I taught myself how to import from China. Lost all of my money, and which that's another story for another on. I was in university, and I was, speaking to a fellow student, and then the next thing I know, I was pulling these iPhone cases out my bag, offering which one do you want to buy. So it's always, as Jack said, is always looking at that potential problem and how can I solve it and also make a margin on top. But long story short, I was going, I was labouring for my dad on sites and realised I didn't like labouring at all in these refurb houses. So I started helping my mum manage the properties that they had. So when I turned 16, I set up a letting agency in South Wales, and I scaled that to an estate agency. I also then scaled that into a residential finance brokerage, then commercial finance brokerage, then business finance brokerage. Because, like Jack said, I didn't want to give anything away, and I was just trying to do it all myself. And I don't regret it because I learned so much at such a young age that I started going out and working with investors, and they were kind enough and believed in me enough to lend me their money, and I would go and build a portfolio myself and do my own private deals. My letting agency actually specialised in social housing, so to come full circle, I realized being a private developer, I would go bust. I wasn't liquid enough, and there was a bit of a market wobble in Wales during Brexit. So I flipped the model into social and affordable housing, or partnerships model, where I could forward sell and then eventually be forward funded. So Castell Group was born out of that. And to date, we've scaled from zero to we've delivered over 100 homes. So we're in construction of over 230 as I speak, and we have a pipeline of over 1,100 homes. We were ranked the fastest growing construction and like house building company in Wales 2023, and the third fastest growing company in Wales overall 2023. Along with that journey as well, I'm an obsessive learner. So whilst scaling that business to those heights, to a pipeline of over 200 plus million, I did a master's in quantity surveying. I've got an accountancy background, which I did that whilst I was growing my business. I've also did the Cranfield Business Growth Program, the Goldman Sachs Business Growth Program, and I've just recently been accepted into Goldman Sachs Unicorn School for businesses with aspirations to become worth £1 billion and above. So that's me.
Dorian, is it just easier to tell us the education that you haven't done, rather than the ones that you have?
Dorian, why the interest in, like, so much education?
Well, I have no friends, Ryan, so I suppose it starts from there. But books are my friends. There's a good book called "Only the Paranoid Survive," and I actually walk around my office and say stupid sayings all the time. Like, one of my favorite sayings is, "We're the Batman for social housing." For social housing, so there's always this, like, you know this pressure. I was literally texting one of my employees the other day. I said, we're the Batman for social housing, and we're in Gotham right now, and shit's going on. So, but I don't know. I've just always got this. One of the big problems is being a visionary, which I would class myself as a visionary. I've got big goals; they're huge goals, and I always feel like I'm running out of time. And this is a challenge we'll come on to later on in the podcast. And the
Mm.
only thing, if you think about it, I've gone from a zero turnover company to a company that's just last financial year turned over 18 million, is on track to double again in the next year. And we know that within 3 years we should be at 60 plus million turnover a year. Um, you know, you can only stay on top of that if you're literally learning every day, trying to see what do I not know that I don't know, if that makes sense, and what's coming around the corner. And there's so much out there, courses, books, too much. There's just too much. But yeah, I've had to immerse myself.
Yeah, mate, respect it. What about the name? Because I read it Castell Group, but you say Casteth or something, don't you?
In Wales, it's Castell because it's double L, but in England, everyone says Castell, and ultimately, it's the Welsh word for castle. So the name was founded because we build social and affordable housing for that the lower 20% quartile of society, the ones most at risk of homeless, the most vulnerable. And we've got a saying that, we believe there's that saying, isn't it? A house is a man's castle. That's what the original saying was. But we believe that everyone should have their own house or their own place that they can basically treat as their own castle. And that's where Castell Group comes from. We provide castles for those vulnerable.